Good morning, viewers. This is Diaspora Digital Media. This morning we have a guest who has been all over the place. He has seen it all, he has known it all. And we'll be discussing with him on the recent development as revealed by Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Yusuf Tuga, who said that Nigeria is now planning towards joining BRICS. That is the alliance bringing together Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. So we want to explore if Nigeria joins BRICS rather, not BRICS. How does it favor Nigeria? And how does it improve the well-being of an average Nigerian apart from boosting the ego of the country? We now welcome our guest, Mr. Paul Ejime, a foreign affairs analyst. Mr. Ejime, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me, Tim.
Recently, the Minister for Foreign Affairs, Mr. Tuga Yusuf, disclosed Nigeria's plans to join BRICS. First of all, before we come to that nitty-gritty about the gains or losses of joining BRICS, can you tell us a little you know about BRICS itself and how it has helped those countries who are part of BRICS?
Thank you. Well, in your introduction, you mentioned the countries that are involved. These are countries that are, trying to exercise their own independence and getting an alliance to do that. Breaking away from the regular, of course, it's still there, the geopolitics, because Russia is still there. It brings, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. So you will know they are trying to break the dominance of the West, European Union, and then America. And of course, there has been this talk about getting a new, another foreign, currency that will be able to, with which countries can denominate their transactions. That it shouldn't be dollar. It's not only dollar denominated. That they want to maybe come up with a new one. They think that from there, trade will be more liberalized, and then they will have value for their money. It's not a case of people dictating what you pay for your, products. Processed. After it's been processed, they take the raw material, process it, and then make you pay through the nose. So, and then it will also bring a shift in the geopolitical alliance. Remember the Cold War? There is a feeling that the Cold War is even still coming back with, what is happening now. NATO and America allying together, and Russia. You see where the Ukraine-Russia war is still there.
Yes.
And you know all the countries in the West and then plus America, the kind of pressure and sanctions. I think Russia becomes a country that has been the most sanctioned in the world. With they are really thousands of sanctions against it, the West and America, NATO, because of its conflict with Ukraine. And so that is, and Africans, in particular, Africa or other regions, are now saying, if there are a way, in those days it used to be non-aligned movement. It's still there, but it's not having the kind of, here it is more about economics of it. Of course, politics will play, but it is about how these people can manage their life, because he who controls your economy or controls your pulse controls your destiny. That's what it is said. Yes. So here, Nigeria trying to join is even not doing it too early, because some countries have already, Iran, Turkey, so many countries, Algeria, they have all put up the application to join, and it's going to grow. Nigeria didn't make that move the last time that BRICS, the organization met. I think now, and it will be the earlier the better, so that Nigeria does not delay and then becomes, there will be problem about admittance. Now, if you join while you have to strike while the iron is still hot. So that is what, and we can go into what benefits that can bring, but it frees them from, the strangulations of the Bretton Woods institutions, World Bank and then IMF, which many perhaps believe, and perhaps quite rightly, that it is controlled by America and then the European Union.
However, I still look at BRICS and the countries involved and notice that their transactions are still dollar-based. Have they really made that break away from the stranglehold of Western ideology, Western capitalism, and so on? Have they really achieved that primarily before we now talk of secondary and tertiary?
No, it hasn't been achieved, and that is it's still in the works. Remember, this is a new organization, and there has to be, you have to finish with the structure, and then you now talk about the ambition, the mission, and then what the objectives. It will be one of them, and I think they haven't made any secret about it, that it will be one of the, and the West should be worried, America should be worried, because dollar, this idea, there's nothing as fulfilling and satisfying as having your currency being, if for instance, if Naira was the means of international foreign exchange that everybody is talking about. See what it's doing to the economy today. Every Naira is in shortage. You go to the market, the farmer, everybody, trader, even will tell you, when you pick up any item, they tell you, don't you know that that Naira has, dollar has done that? Everybody's talking about dollar. So, and if you can demystify the dollar with another currency, in fact, there is a thesis that that was part of what led to the killing of Muammar Gaddafi of Libya.
Yeah.
That he was thinking about having a currency that will rival
Africa.
For Africa, that will rival the dollar. And they cannot. Nobody can take that. America cannot sit by and allow you to do that.
I think the idea of Afro is more feasible than that of BRICS, because BRICS spans across almost all the continents of the world. So how do they plan to harness an economy that will transcend continental borders, and then to kind of sideline the dollar or the pounds or the euro? How do they plan to do that?
Okay, there will be some resistance, not even some very stiff resistance from America, and then with its European partners. But again, it is about interest. When all of them weigh the interest and what will be their level of influence, if they insisted that it will be dollar, because these ones it is about sovereignty and it's also about national interest. If all of them can come together, they can defeat Africa. It was easier for them to deal with Africa or deal with Gaddafi.
Yeah.
But here, like you said, the fact that it transcends borders is an advantage, because if you stop one continent, you cannot stop the other. And when they are together like that, they present a formidable force.
Okay, now let's come to Nigeria. What do we stand to gain? How does it improve our lot if Nigeria joins BRICS? We know that BRICS, yes, might present some political stroke economic advantages, but can you help the average Nigerian man know what these advantages are and how it improves my lot as an average individual Nigerian?
the very how do I illustrate it is the fact how the Nigerian perceive the dollar today. It's about what it's almost running the life of everybody, the politician, the farmer, everybody. You go to the hospital, the charges, they will say, what was 10,000 today, they'll tell you it's now 50. You talk to them, you say, don't you know what is happening, how much dollar is selling? You go to the supermarket, it's everything. So the fact that to get that demystification, it's not that it will translate into having more money, because you need to even sell to get foreign exchange. The one that is so centralized is being used as a means of, transaction. But the fact that it can also be rivaled, competition will bring some level of equality. It will not now be, you can't, because when you are a monopoly, you can do anything. You can change, you can fix prices because nobody can challenge you. But if now dollar is challenged, I think it has the tendency to also impact on what the policies of, I mentioned to you the Bretton Woods institutions, the World Bank and IMF, that are controlled by these, those who are controlling dollar today. Okay, of course, the EU, they are using euro.
Yeah.
Okay, their own, you cannot, and you saw what, the fact of controlling your currency can do when you saw the Britain, Brexit, trying to break out because it does not want to, surrender the British pound,
economic might.
yes, to the control of the EU that controls the euro. So it has advantages, but the bottom line will be that you need to look at what you will gain. How do you earn whatever currency it is? Is it dollar, or you call it Afro, or you call it any name? You have to earn it before you enjoy the benefit. So Nigeria, as is thinking about joining, and then with an eye on having a currency that can rival the dollar, it is not. That's a good thing. But the greatest good will be to improve on the strategy to earn foreign currency, whatever foreign currency it is.
Yeah.
Okay, because now remember that when you determining the exchange rate of dollar and others, you have to also determine the pound, for instance, the euro. So if now there is another currency, you now determine how that will go. But if countries are allowed, imagine what would have become the case. Remember, we're in the ECOWAS region of 15 countries, even though 3 said they want to leave. But imagine if they were using the naira as their means of, foreign exchange transaction. What it will be. It means that in all these countries, because that the central bank that controls that, the treasury that controls that currency has a say. It's like the CFA France. What they are doing to, what France is doing to its former colonies, about 14 of them,
Yeah.
the West and the Central Africa. They are controlling that currency, determining, in fact, they have fixed it since 1994 at 665 to the euro. It hasn't changed. But here, this liberalization, they tell you have to leave your money to float, and then they allow market forces to determine. But meanwhile, there are some dealings that are secrecy, that are there that people are applying. Because when they can do that, they will now tell you, look at the kind of free fall that Naira has taken. The battering over how many months? From 800 to 600 to $1 to now going up to 1,600.
It got as far as almost 2,000.
2,000, yes, before it now started there. Yeah. So that is what it does. And now some economists have said that these are the kind of prescriptions you get from IMF and World Bank, because they tell you devalue your currency, retrench workers, But this hasn't helped anybody. So if there's a currency that the World Bank and the IMF are not the one, because you go to them, they do that because when you go and ask for facility, if you want loan, they tell you this is what they give you conditionality. But imagine what it might take some great thinking to get the where who will be managing, how it will be managed, the institution, and then the workability of whatever currency that is now agreed upon to. But these are not these are countries that are also playing. They are in the international politics. So there is no shortage of strategy about how the political game is played, because it's partly political and then
It's
economic.
largely political. Actually.
Yes, yes.
However, again, how are we sure that these are not mere rhetorics? Before you answer that, let me call our attention to the fact that Nigeria has a standing agreement with China to use yuan, Chinese yuan, and the naira as the medium of transaction between the two countries. Where did that end?
Yes. Before you can do that, and that could be that must have led to the fact that it's either not working well or it's not working. That is this idea of Nigeria and China using yuan to
For transaction.
For transaction. The point is that it will be resisted by, because Nigeria is also going to these other the Bretton Woods institutions, and when you are doing that, they have they are laser focused to know that if they not to go into any competition, because what it will mean is that if you now find you're always coming to somebody for something, for assistance, and suddenly you find an alternative. It's not only that he will not be happy that you are not coming to them, they will try to stop you from coming. So in some engagements, they will say, if you are going to be using this other currency, they bring some roadblocks. So to be able to do that, you must have the resilience to be able to withstand the pressure.
Are you saying?
No, yes, because it's political.
Are you saying they stop Nigeria?
It's not. They can't.
Nigeria from China from transacting.
They do it subtly.
They do
it. It's a subtle thing. They can't come directly to say stop, but they will now bring roadblocks in other relationships, collaboration that you are having with them, and unless and until you now have put up your thinking cap to know this guy is now refusing to do this because of that. And how do you now stand that pressure? It is by becoming, trying to be self-sustaining. If you are producing oil, for instance, produce to the maximum that you can optimize your benefit. For instance, Nigeria has been allotted OPEC production quota. Nigeria has not been able to meet that. And government is here talking about theft of oil. Meanwhile, there's also the what is trending, that Nigeria has set up and encouraged the establishment of private refineries. So to end this shameful idea of a country producing oil, but going to importing the products, oil products, petroleum products
from other countries.
Now, one of the major private refineries is now about to, start rolling out products, but it needs crude oil. But can you believe? And this is not secret. It is now having to go and import crude oil from outside the country. Of course, some will tell you that it doesn't matter. You buy where you think you can get the market. But have they forgotten the objective, the reason why everybody was crying? Because Nigeria had 4 refineries, is government owned, but they are not functioning. There is the NNPC. Some of these refineries are what you use in maintenance or paying those who are working there for facilities that are not producing anything is humongous. These are losses. These are drain pipes. And then you now set up this one. Instead of encouraging them, what is being put out there is that because Nigeria has already sold oil in advance for upward of 15 years or so. So it has no, it cannot now have, there is no oil to sell to the local factory, the local refinery. So these are some of the self-inflicted pains that Nigeria has to, if you want all these things to work, even when you join BRICS, you mentioned it, how can it work? You have to have that determination, that commitment, that patriotism, that, have it in your thinking. What do you want? It's not allowing, while you make one dollar, you waste about $3. But it doesn't make economic sense.
But sir, is it an impossibility to block these leakages we are talking about? How can a sovereign nation with top-notch security services be crying that people are stealing my oil and I don't know who is stealing, how it's being stolen, where it's being stolen, and what I'm going to do to stop the stealing? Is that not, that is why sometimes I say that some of these things sound like mere rhetoric, as if nobody is really serious, as if they just want to say something, put it in paper, and to attend to Israel.
To a large extent, you have to walk the talk. I agree with you. But where did you find the sincerity? There is trust deficit issue in Nigeria. The people do not trust the government, and government officials, they are not even trusting anybody. That's why when they steal money, they are not keeping it in Nigeria. They have to stash it somewhere where they think nobody. Yes. So in the process, is it in Swiss bank? Is it in European bank? They take it there and have a code, personal code, that even when they die, they are the only ones that can provide those. That is how some of these countries become rich, because those monies, they know that nobody can access it, and they use them because, that is it. So it is that mentality, that disposition of the politicians, and it cuts across. It's not just the politician, but the Nigerian is becoming a Nigerian Malay, that you cannot trust anybody. You are getting an artisan to do something for you. What they will call the margin of profit they want to make, is abnormal. If something that they can do for you for 50, they are charging you 100 or 1,000, because they have seen a system where people have gotten away with blue money. There is no consequence for bad behavior. You are here. We are reading about in the last administration. You heard about how, or the previous administration, how animals snake was swallowing money, and then monkey, and all that, and then
even termites.
Yes. Then, as if that was not enough, in the last administration, the federal government official, attorney, not attorney general, accountant general, was said to have made away with about 109 billion naira. That is enough to transform a whole tower village. Yes.
Don't address him, please, as an ordinary civil servant anymore.
Okay.
He has now been top banned in Ghana.
Okay.
So please address him.
Okay. I didn't mention any names. I just wanted you to. I mentioned of the title, so that Nigeria, but it's not a secret. And then remember that NNDC, there was a probe where some people were fainting, and then people were stopping the off the mic. What has happened to that? And then even in this administration too, some new ministers were reported to have been putting money in private accounts. Government money is now domiciled in private accounts. Nothing has happened. And so one of them said that they were doing that because out of ignorance, that it was a mistake. So unless and until you make people pay for such bad behavior, they'll end the impunity. You are not going to. There has to be a conscious effort, deliberate effort to clean the audience table, to make sure that you end. But who is going to do it? It's not from the top to the bottom. It's rotten. So the soup is not good. The food is not good. So and then the person preparing the food you cannot trust. So you are getting ready to romance poison because you don't know what has been prepared for you. So that is how bad the thing has gone. Or is it the students? You go everywhere. How they cheat, or the lecturers how either you pay them monetarily, or they go after you pay by in kind, or where? Tell me any of the. So there has to be that wholesale transformation, change of attitude, and then to tackle this corruption and remove the politics of religion and ethnicity, or where you find he's a thief, but he's our thief. Or, they are persecuting him because he's a Muslim or because he's a Christian. Those are the primordial forces and factors that are pulling Nigeria down.
Okay. Before we call it off this morning, I want to put this question succinctly and for the benefit of the common man. Should Nigeria join BRICS?
In principle, it will be a good idea. And but Nigeria has to be strategic about it to determine what it stands to gain and then optimize that benefit. It is not joining it for the sake of joining, because those who are there are the ones that think that they are not getting equal opportunity from what is happening.
They're not getting enough.
Yes. So not enough, but there has to be some level of equity, some level of not dealing with unequal partnership. There is no junior partner or senior partner. Everybody is equal in international affairs, but of course we know that all animals are not equal, like George Orwell would say.
Thank you.
So Nigeria has to grow up to learn how to function, to know how to play the game at international politics, both in politics and then in the economic life.
Thank you very much, sir, for your time. It's been a wonderful hearing from you with your experience in the international fora. I think Nigerians have benefited a lot this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, sir. So, Nigerians, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it. Should Nigeria join BRICS? Mr. Paul Ejime, a public affairs analyst and international commentator, said yes, Nigeria should join, but it should be ready and willing to play the card the smart way and not just for the sake of joining. So we thank you all this morning. Until we come back, this is Diaspora Digital.